My favorite animal is an owl. Welcome to Norris Teaches Science, another biology edition. In this section of the videos, we're going to talk about ecology. And so, starring me, Mr. Norris, I present today basic ecology. So, by the end of this video, I can describe what ecology is and ecological processes. So, what is ecology? It is the study of organisms and the interactions with their environment. So, it's how organisms, any organisms, be a plant, a bacteria, or an animal, interact with the environment, the area around them. Now, when we talk about ecology, we need to talk about two factors that come into play. One, biotic factors, and the other is abiotic factors. If you think of the words, you can break these words down. Biotic means life, and the prefix a means not. So living factors and non-living factors. So biotic factors is all the factors, all the living things in an area. So trees, animals, mushroom, bacteria. Anything that's living is a biotic factor. Anything non-living in the area that affects it is called abiotic factors because a means is the prefix for not or none. And so examples are like water, land, weather, precipitation, anything that's non-living will factor in. Now, methods that organisms obtain energy, there's actually two main ways. Either they're going to be considered autotrophs or heterotrophs, depending on how they get energy to maintain their homeostasis. Remember, I said on my first video, I said homeostasis will come back almost every time we talk about something. Homeostasis is important here. You have to have energy to maintain homeostasis. Now, the sun is a major source of energy. In some way, everyone gets energy from the sun. Autotrophs are a little different than heterotrophs. So if you look at the picture here, you notice that autotrophs look like plants and heterotrophs look like animals. And if you don't remember plants do photosynthesis. Heterotrophs do not. So what are autotrophs? I kind of mentioned it. These are organisms that make their own food. We also call them producers. So anything about plants, even grouped over here. But they have to be able to carry out photosynthesis. And hopefully you remember the formula for photosynthesis. If not, go back and rewatch the photosynthesis video. Now, what are heterotrophs? Remember that you're either an autotroph or a heterotroph. Heterotrophs are organisms that must consume something else to get its energy. So we also call them consumers. They cannot make their own food, so they have to eat something else. So they could be like these lions who are trying to eat the hippo, or they could be like the hippo who eats plants, or even things that scavenge dead animals. Other ones are like dogs, deer, and lion. So just classifying your heterotrophs, you either have your herbivores, which would be the rabbit here. They eat plants or producers. We also call them the primary consumer. Carnivores, that would be this lion here, they eat other consumers. So they're going to eat the herbivores or any of the other heterotrophs. They eat anything that will give them meat or substance. Omnivores, that's the bear here. The bear would be considered an omnivore because they eat producers and they eat consumers. Bears will eat fish, they will eat berries. They're an omnivore. Another omnivore would be humans. Most humans are considered omnivores because we eat producers or plants and we eat animals as well. Scavengers, that would be the vulture here. They eat dead stuff or the leftover stuff. They actually have really acidic stomachs so they can digest it and not get sick. And decomposers are kind of like these worms over here. They biodegrade or break down things in the soil even further than the scavengers. We can actually get into another one called detritivores, but that right now just consider them as a decomposer. So when we talk about animals eating each other, we talk about something called a food chain. It describes the flow of energy from producers to consumers to decomposers. So in this picture here, we see a simple food chain. We have our producer, the grass, and it's ate by the grasshopper. And the arrow here shows what the direction that energy is going. So it's showing where the energy is going to. So the grasshopper is considered a primary consumer, and then it's ate by the frog and transfers its energy. So the frog is considered a secondary consumer, and then the python is going to eat the frog, and we consider the python a tertiary consumer. We can even go further. Can you think of something that would eat a snake? That would be another consumer in this food chain. Now, a food web are all the possible feeding relationships in each trophic level in a community. Basically, we take all the food chains that are in an area and we link them together. So, like the grasshopper here, the grasshopper can be ate by the hawk, it could be ate by the weasel, it could be ate by the spider, it could be ate by the shrew. So, there's all these different ones. So, we're going to have arrows all over the place. The arrows still represent energy flow, how the energy is going to flow. So grasshopper's energy is going to go to the hawk, or the grasshopper's energy is going to go to the spider. It's all the interactive ones. Now, when we think about, since we're thinking about food chains and food webs, and we think about energy, we have something called the pyramid of energy, or we have a pyramid that shows trophic levels or energy levels. Here's the thing: when you go from one trophic level to the next trophic level, not all the energy is transferred. Only 10% of the energy from one to the other is actually been transferred. Most energy is gone due to heat. Um, Now, as you go up, the energy gets smaller. So you can see this had 1,000,000 kilocalories of energy. This had only 100,000 kilocalories of energy. It just drops down by 10% each time. So let's look at this little practice here, and let's make a food web and then place the stuff from the food web into the trophic pyramid. So we have a carrot here. What would eat the carrot? Well, the rabbit would eat the carrot. The mice would eat the carrot. Grass. Well, the rabbit's going to eat some grass. The mice is going to eat grass. And the grasshopper is going to eat some grass. The grains. Grains are going to be ate by the mice, the grasshopper, and I would say the bird as well. This bird will eat grains. Now let's move on. Rabbit. Rabbit's going to be ate by the fox. It's going to be ate by the owl. It's a little too big for the bird to eat. The mice, we're going to do the fox. We're going to do the owl. Grasshopper. Grasshopper is going to probably be ate by the bird. And I think it's going to be ate by the owl as well. The birds will be ate by the owl, and most likely some foxes will eat the birds as well. Owls won't eat foxes, foxes won't eat owl. They're more of the top predators here. So we need to place stuff into the pyramid. So producers, what are the producers in here? Well, we have the carrots, the grass, and the grains. Those are our plants. Plants always go at the bottom in the producers. Primary consumers are anything that ate one of the things below. So carrots, we were talking rabbit, mice, grasshopper, and the bird. All right, secondary consumers are anything that ate a primary consumer. So what ate the rabbit? Well, that was the fox. This is also the owls. The mice was the same too. The grasshopper was the birds. All right. And the bird ate the birds was the owl and fox. Notice here, birds appear in two levels. They can appear in two levels because it depends on where they eat in certain food chains. Now, tertiary consumers are anything that eats a secondary consumer. So nothing ate the fox, nothing ate the owl, but the birds was fox and the owl. As you see, fox and owls appear in two separate ones as well. So this is the energy pyramid. Remember, as you go from bottom up, less energy becomes available. But this is a little bit basics of ecology. We're going to expand on it in a couple more videos. I hope you learned something today. And this is Mr. Norris, and I am signing out for the day.